Have you ever felt like your prayers are hitting a brass ceiling? We often approach God with a long list of wants, asking for promotions, financial breakthroughs, or physical healing, and sometimes, in His infinite wisdom, the answer we receive is not now or even no. But there is one specific frequency, one particular cry, and one unique prayer that the sovereign creator of the universe finds impossible to ignore. It is the prayer for mercy. When all other words fail, and when you have no merit left to stand on, the word mercy becomes a skeleton key that opens the storehouses of heaven. This truth is anchored in Psalm 103, verse 8, which declares that the Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in love. To paraphrase this for your life today, God's default setting toward a repentant soul is not a clenched fist of judgment, but the open arms of a father. Mercy is not getting the punishment we actually deserve. It is the divine suspension of judgment in favor of a new beginning. While our world is quick to cancel and slow to forget, God is the opposite. He is slow to anger and quick to forgive. To understand the power of this prayer, we must look at those who used it as their last resort. Consider King David. After committing sins that should have cost him his kingdom and his life, adultery and murder, David didn't offer a list of excuses. In Psalm 51, he simply cried out, "Have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love." David knew a pro tip of the spiritual realm. God values a broken spirit more than a religious ritual. Because David appealed to God's mercy rather than his own record, he was restored. Think also of the Apostle Paul, formerly known as Saul of Tarsus. He was a man breathing out murderous threats against the early church, actively persecuting the followers of Christ. By any human standard of justice, Saul deserved destruction. Yet, on the road to Damascus, as recorded in Acts chapter 9, he didn't meet a bolt of lightning, he met a miracle of mercy. Paul later described himself as the chief of sinners, but noted that he was shown mercy so that in him, Christ might display his immense patience. This is an insider secret. God often chooses the most unlikely candidates for mercy to prove that no one is beyond his reach. Even entire nations have been saved by this single prayer. The city of Nineveh was scheduled for total destruction due to its extreme wickedness. When the prophet Jonah walked through their streets, the people didn't argue their innocence. From the king to the lowest servant, they humbled themselves and cried out for God's compassion. Jonah chapter 3 shows us that when God saw their humble hearts, He relented and did not bring the destruction He had threatened. This teaches us a deep analysis of God's heart. Mercy triumphs over judgment every single time a heart is truly turned toward Him. A common mistake many believers make is waiting until they clean themselves up before asking for mercy. They think they need to achieve a certain level of holiness before they can approach the throne. But mercy is for the messy. You don't wash before you take a bath. The bath is what makes you clean. If you are struggling with a recurring habit, a dark past, or a heavy weight of shame, stop trying to negotiate with God based on your performance. Instead, appeal to His character. The pro tip for your prayer life today is to make mercy your starting point, not your last resort. When you realize that God's mercy is new every morning, you stop living in the fear of yesterday's failures. You start to perceive that God isn't looking for an excuse to keep you out. He is looking for an invitation to let you in. Whether you are like David in his brokenness, Paul in his misplaced zeal, or the Ninevites in their desperate need for a turnaround, the answer remains the same. Cry out for mercy. It is the prayer He cannot and will not say no to. In conclusion, do not let the enemy convince you that you have exhausted God's patience. His storehouse of mercy is deeper than your sea of mistakes. Lift your voice, humble your heart, and simply ask. You will find that He is exactly who the psalmist said He was: compassionate, gracious, and abounding in love.